The fire was eating the car alive. That's the first thing people remembered later, the way the flames twisted like they were trying to swallow the world whole. But what they remembered even more, was the man who ran straight into them. So before we start, take a second to like this video and subscribe, because by the time you reach the end of this story, you'll understand exactly why stories like this deserve to be shared with the world. It began on a quiet, dusty road outside a small farming town where the sound of engines and metal tools usually filled the air instead of terror. Mark Dalton, a 42-year-old mechanic with grease-stained hands and a life worn thin by responsibility, stood outside his workshop wiping the sweat from his forehead. He was the kind of man people trusted without asking why, broad-shouldered, humble, and always ready to help, even when he didn't have much himself. His farm, old and half-broken like everything else he owned, sat just behind the workshop. He lived alone, except for a loyal old dog named Rusty. He didn't believe life had much excitement left for him, until the day fate came roaring toward him on wheels. It happened in less than a breath. A minivan screeched around the corner, the driver fighting for control. Then the horrible sound, metal skidding, tires screaming, and the crash that seemed to tear the sky open. Mark dropped the wrench instantly and sprinted without thinking. The van was already smoking. The heat radiating from it was violent. He could hear someone screaming inside, high, terrified, tiny voices. "Please, someone, my girls, my babies." A woman's voice cried, trembling and lost. Mark didn't wait. "Stand back," he shouted as he tore at the jammed door, the metal burning his fingers even through the cloth he tried to shield himself with. The flames licked closer, and the smoke choked the air, but he pushed harder, pulling with a force he didn't know he had until the door finally gave way. Two little twin girls, no older than 4, were strapped in the backseat, tears streaming down their faces. Even through the smoke, their eyes glowed with that desperate hope children rarely understand but always cling to. "It's okay, sweetheart," Mark whispered, coughing, his voice breaking. I've got you both." One by one, he pulled them out, shielding them with his own body as he ran back through the flames. The heat clawed at his skin, but he didn't stop until the girls were safely in their mother's arms. The mother fell to her knees, hugging them so tightly you'd think she feared they would disappear if she let go. "You saved them," she sobbed. "You saved my daughters, I don't even know your name." But Mark just smiled weakly. "Doesn't matter. Just glad they're safe." He didn't stay long. He didn't wait for reporters or applause or gratitude. His arms hurt, his lungs stung from smoke, and honestly, he didn't think anyone would remember him by tomorrow. He was just a mechanic. A nobody, in his eyes. He was wrong. That night, he went to bed exhausted, unaware that a bystander had filmed the entire rescue, every second of his bravery, every step he'd taken into the fire. By midnight, the video was everywhere. By sunrise, the world knew his name. Just after dawn, when the sky was still pale and silent, Mark walked outside to feed Rusty when he heard a deep, thunderous hum. He looked up. Helicopters. Not one, not two, a whole fleet. The blades whipped the air as they landed on his old, overgrown farm, kicking up dust and leaves. Mark froze, heart pounding. Government. News stations. What on earth? The first person to step out was the mother of the twin girls, her daughters holding her hands tightly. Behind her were reporters, medics, firefighters, and people with cameras. But they weren't shouting. They weren't pushing microphones into his face. They approached slowly, respectfully, like they were standing before someone extraordinary. The mother walked up to him, tears already running again. "Mark," she whispered shakily. "I tried calling, but no one picked up. So we came. All of us. You didn't just save my daughters' lives, you saved my life too. And people across the country, they saw what you did. They want to help you now, the way you helped us." She stepped aside, revealing a group holding documents, boxes, envelopes, and keys. "Your farm," she said softly, "we heard it's almost falling apart. You've been working alone for so long. But that ends today." One man, an engineer, handed him a blueprint. "We're rebuilding everything. Your barn, your workshop, your house. All of it. On us." Another stepped forward with a check from a public donation fund. Not hundreds. Not thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Then the twins ran to him, each holding a small drawing they'd made, pictures of a man with a cape standing between them and a car on fire. Childish lines. Messy coloring. But powerful enough to break him. "You're our hero," the girls said together, their little voices trembling. "We brought helicopters so we could come fast." Mark's throat burned with emotion. He'd spent years believing he was invisible, that good people finished last, that heroes existed only in movies. But now the world was standing in his yard, telling him he mattered. He knelt, hugging the twins gently. "I just did what anyone would have done," he whispered. "Not anyone," the mother said quietly. "Just someone good." Over the next weeks, Mark's life transformed. Volunteers came from towns he'd never heard of. People brought food, tools, lumber, and hope. His old, dying farm bloomed back to life, stronger, brighter, and fuller than before. And each day, the twins came to visit him, calling him Uncle Mark, reminding him that some acts of courage echo louder than anyone expects. The fire had taken so much, but it had given something back too.